Hello and welcome to this special edition of Global Insights on China's economy, a series of high-end interviews with movers and shakers, economists and industry watchers. I'm Li Xin in Beijing. Our guest today is distinguished American economist and professor at Columbia University, Jeffrey Sachs. He explains to me how the Western media misunderstand and misinterpret China's economy.
Jeffrey Sachs is a globally recognized thought leader in economics, sustainability, and global development. He has been a special advisor to 3 UN Secretaries General and is the director of the Center for Sustainable Development at Columbia University. He has authored numerous best-selling books and has consistently ranked among the world's most influential economists, known for his efforts to tackle poverty, inequality, and climate change. Having visited China multiple times over the decades, Professor Sachs has a unique perspective on China's development model and its evolving role on the global stage.
China has been contributing to global growth. Actually, China has been contributing about 30% of global growth since at least the last 2 decades. But all the while, some people have been predicting China's imminent collapse. We can pick up a very long list, but let's start with this example, for instance, and which I find to be most prominent is that China is stifling its private sector. So, Professor Sachs, I want to get your feels, your analysis on the so-called stalling reforms or China trying to throttle its private sector. What's your take?
Well, my take is very different, and that is that China is extremely successful at innovation and increasingly, in fact, at dominating the new technologies, especially zero-carbon energy systems, whether it's renewables or fourth-generation nuclear, fast rail, which the United States still does not have 1 kilometer of fast rail. China has tens of thousands and is now sharing that technology in projects in different parts of the world. China is mastering 5.5G now. It's not only 5G, it's at least 10 times faster than when 5G was unveiled 5 years ago. In fact, this is a period of rapid technological advancement, despite the United States' attempt to stop this. So a lot of the rhetoric has been around for more than 30 years. When the 1997 Asian financial crisis came, that was taken as proof that China's growth was over, and so on. So this has been the rhetoric for a very long time. It's mostly a kind of propaganda in the United States or the Anglo-Saxon world.
Predictions about the collapse of China's economy, including claims of the collapse of the yuan, real estate, and debt, have continued to make headlines in Western media in recent years. Let's take a look at some of their most sensational headlines. In 2015, The Economist ran the headline, "The Great Fall of China." Yet that same year, China's economy grew by 6.9%, defying the bleak predictions. Over the past year, the Wall Street Journal published over 100 articles criticizing China's economy. More recently, the New York Times published articles with titles like "China's Economy is in Serious Trouble" and "Why It's So Hard for China to Fix Its Ailing Economy." While certain sectors face challenges, the Chinese economy remains stable. China's GDP reached 94.97 trillion yuan, $13.12 trillion US dollars, in the first 3 quarters of this year, reflecting a 4.8% year-on-year increase. The narrative of imminent collapse has failed to materialize, yet the China scare stories remain a recurring theme. With China's economy continuing to evolve and adapt, are these predictions genuine concerns, or are they driven by other motivations?
The United States is trying, actually, to stall the Chinese economy. In other words, China is facing headwinds, not mainly internally, but deliberate attempts by the United States to slow or stop China's growth. Of course, the most notable of these measures is the tariff increases that were put on by Donald Trump in his first term and then kept on by Joe Biden, and also the bans on exports of technology, notably advanced microchips to China. But these are overtly so-called containment policies. They're internationally illegal as far as I'm concerned. They violate WTO codes, and they are designed to stifle China's growth.
One of the underlying themes or conclusions that I'm reading from the various media reports criticizing the health of the Chinese economy is that the China model, which worked for the past few decades, is not working anymore. And the Chinese leadership, by sticking to that model, is stifling the Chinese economy. What exactly are they trying to get at? And what exactly is the Chinese model that they believe is not working anymore? Professor Sachs.
I think if I could interpret it, maybe the claim is that there's too much government intervention in the economy, or China stifling entrepreneurship. Again, I think that this is Western rhetoric, not reality. Let me take a very pertinent and quantitatively important example. China is now the world's leader in electric vehicles. During the past 10 years, there were around 400 electric vehicle companies in China. They were competing like crazy. Of course, there's now a kind of a shaking out process where a few companies are becoming dominant, but the competition and the entrepreneurship has been absolutely intense. And the result is that China is taking the leadership in worldwide sales of electric vehicles. Also, China's domestic market now is remarkable in that more than 40%, I believe, of new car sales are electric vehicles. And when I recently visited Beijing, you see them everywhere, of course, with the green license plates. And you see a tremendous change in a short period of time. Since this is the direction that the entire world is moving towards because of the need for zero emission vehicles, China's in a very strong position. What is happening? The US is putting on tariffs. Europe is putting on tariffs. Is that a sign of failure of China? No, quite the contrary. It's a sign of remarkable success.
What is the obsession to criticize the model? As if there is one magic or one set of correct rules how to run the economy of a country.
I think we should understand this mainly in geopolitical terms, not in theoretical or even ideological terms. This is geopolitics. China has been too successful from America's point of view. And there was a notable article roughly 10 years ago at the Council on Foreign Relations that was written by one of my former colleagues at Harvard University, Robert Blackwell, who became a leading American diplomat. And he said that China's rise is no longer in America's interest because America's grand strategy is to dominate. And now the US can't dominate if China's becoming so large. So already a decade ago, Blackwell and his co-author listed the measures that the United States should follow: closing the US market by tariffs, stopping the export of high technologies where the US did have an advantage, notably in semiconductors, trying to build trading relations that would exclude China, strengthening the military of the US alliance along the rimlands of China and the South China Sea. Well, the United States has followed through on all of those. That is a foreign policy.